Good afternoon. This is Lily Ace here, Anchored After Faith. Excuse the shaking here. I'm using my hand. I don't have any special equipment, just using my Android phone. But woke up pretty encouraged today. Not sure exactly what I'm going to talk about, but I do want to share my office. If you've seen any of my previous videos, I mentioned that I was a caregiver to my father, and this was his bedroom. It took me about a year to convert it to my home office. I was a caregiver while working remotely from home, full-time job. But yeah, here it is. He was an avid lover of horses, and I found this horseshoe at Michael's, I believe, and I just wanted to hang it there. So here we go. It's nothing grand, but it's mine and I love it. Maybe one day I can update it and make it look a little more modern, but I do love the old farmhouse looking decor. And I'm going to start with, as I mentioned in my earlier videos, that I love DIYs and I love to paint and do crafting. So this little creation here were $3 store plastic guitars in the toy department. And the black panel in the back was in their home decor department. I think it might have said Home Sweet Home. I spray painted it black. Spray painted the guitars hammered silver gray. Muted silver. Doesn't really have the hammered look. But then I hot glued them to the panel and hung it as an art piece, and I truly love it. It hangs above the door of the office. I don't have great lighting here. This is another cheap find at the Dollar General. La fe mueve montaña. El amor llena el corazón. La esperanza invita el mañana. Basically what that means is faith moves mountains, love fills the heart, and hope invites tomorrow. Isn't that beautiful? I needed that today. All right, moving along. I have a lot of lamps in here because I don't have overhead lighting, as you can see. I don't know who designed this home, but I have a few horses, again, in honor of my father, because he was an avid lover of horses and also a musician. He loved to play the guitar, he loved to sing. We would often sing together. This little toy horse somebody had gifted him, and I wanted to create a wreath, so I gotta see if I can find these miniature horses and maybe miniature guitars to make that in honor of him, of his love for both guitars and horses. That little guy right there, I love. My sister found that at a thrift store and brought it to me to use in my office. And this little guy here, he is risen. There's a little round wooden ornaments that I found at Walmart, and I painted them and used my stencil, and that's what I use on my all year round Christmas tree. I always keep a Christmas tree up in my home. That's a little guitar. It was my mother's. She just passed away this December 16th. And my brother brought it to me because he knows that I love guitars. I don't play a guitar, but he knows that I have the guitar theme here, and so he brought it to me. And this little puzzle I just made for my dad and glued it to cardboard backing, and hopefully one day I can frame it. These guys, again, I got, and I had him up when he was alive. He had been in rehab for a couple weeks, and when he came home, I had redecorated the room and hung the horses. He was so excited when he saw them. Yeah. So I had found 2. I just wish that, they were facing each other. But anyway, it works for what I was going for. And then eventually I found this one. I think it was under 20 bucks. I found it at Gabe's, I believe. Yeah. So that's that. This is where I do my work every day for the company that I work for. The desk is looking a mess, but tomorrow back to the real world. Now this here, there's a story behind this. This is an old home. And maybe one day I can remodel. I mean, I'm okay with the look because I love the old farmhouse look. But caring for a loved one who suffers from dementia. My father had a heart attack. He was fine prior to that as far as his mind. He was pretty sharp, pretty active. He thought he had heartburn. I was giving him antacids, if I'm even saying that correctly. Until one day, I found him in the bathroom, leaning over the sink, vomiting, and he could barely breathe. So I was like, we're going to the hospital. And it turned out that he had a heart attack and had to undergo open heart surgery, double bypass with a valve replacement. And he never recovered. This is where he was for 2.5 years after the surgery, or 2 years. And all of a sudden, I noticed that he was asking the same questions, asking me about a certain person who he already knew had passed, just different things. And turns out he was diagnosed with dementia. So it was a difficult journey. Him not remembering that he had children, that he was ever married, and often asked me, how many kids do I have? And I would have to tell him, 5, Dad. What's your mom's name? And I'd tell him, because they were divorced after 20-something years, but he didn't remember. And he had asked me one day, well, where is your mother? Is she still living? I'm like, yeah, Dad, she lives with my brother. And I said his name, my brother's name. But I didn't say she lives with my brother. I just said she lives, and I stated my brother's name. And his response was, oh, so she married so-and-so. And I just chuckled and I said, no, Dad, that person is your son. And he was shocked. My nephew is a barber, and he would come here often to cut my father's hair. And my dad would say, when he felt like he was ready for a haircut, we need to call the barber. And I would say, well, Dad, the barber is your grandson. And he just would respond like, really? He's my grandson? So it wasn't a constant thing. It would be 1 minute he would ask a question, the next minute he was normal, he knew everything, and then half hour later he was asking the same questions. But the reason I'm looking at this area of the office is because, again, this is an old home, and that's my closet, the office closet. And so it was mirrored. And my dad was in and out of rehab during the time. He was sick after surgery. And during that time, his brother passed away. And I was speaking to the nurse, and she advised that I not tell him, because most times he wouldn't remember that he had a brother. And to avoid trauma, it would be best not to tell him. And so I shared a couple things about the experiences that I was having and how he would forget this and forget that. And she advised me, and I'm no medical expert, but for anyone who is caring for someone who suffers from dementia, you may want to consider having mirrors in their rooms because, from one minute to the next, they may not remember what year it is, and they might regress to earlier years, whether it was teenager, pre-fatherhood and whatnot. And that seemed to be where my father was, where he didn't remember that he had been married, that he had children. And so she explained to me that if they wake up thinking they're a teenager, or in an era where before they had a child, and they look in the mirror and see that they're an elderly person, they could go into our cardiac arrest. And because my father's history was heart disease, we made the decision to remove these mirrored closet doors. So that's one thing that I hope I can help y'all with. So yeah, we had to remove them, and I ended up putting curtains up. So when I decided to convert the office his bedroom to my office, I asked my stepson to put the mirrors back up, and unfortunately the second one fell apart, so I had to keep the curtain there. So eventually one day I will convert them to maybe a shuttered look kind of door. But yeah, if that helps anybody, you might want to consider that, because again, Alzheimer's, or dementia, whatever, it's a disease of kind of regressing back to sometimes even to where they were in the womb, because I've heard stories about, them not being able to walk, eat, talk, and they go back into that fetal position. And thankfully that I didn't have to experience that with my father. But that was a decision that we made to avoid any further heart issues. So that's that, and I hope that helps someone. I know it's a difficult road. I'm still struggling with all three losses, and the most recent raw one is of my mother. And I'm just trying to take it one day at a time, it's not easy. But I promise you, God can help you through it. He will. Just make that decision to fall back on the knowledge that you have in Christ. And if it's just waking up and having enough motivation to get in the shower, be happy about that. I was able to get up and get dressed, put a little bit of makeup on, just a little. I'm not a makeup wearer, but I thought, why not? It's a winter wonderland outside, and so I just wore my long white dress with some boots, nowhere to go, but I'm feeling encouraged, and I may just do an art project in my closet here. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Got some art supplies that I haven't touched in a very long time, and maybe today is the day. So be blessed, be encouraged. Bear with me. I just started this thing. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have any special equipment. I'm not that great at articulating how I feel. But with the help of God, I can do all things. And I am doing this for therapy. But I pray that I can help somebody who's listening move forward and know that there's hope in Christ, and he is with you. You're not alone. I don't know if this thing, I don't know how to work this, but bye.